So with step number one, face to face. If someone grieves you, has hurt you in some way, the first thing that you should do is not go to your camp and get your talking points down and get your consensus built. The first thing that you should do is go to the person who has wounded you and let them know, you've wounded me, here's how, here's why. Can we settle this? Now, when's the last time you did that first? I can guarantee you, if believers would do this first, then the vast majority of things that separate us and put us against one another and divide us, the vast majority of those things would simply go away. But we don't do that first. What we do first is we go to our wife, we go to our husband, and we talk to them, and then they feed the fire. And then we replay the tapes in our head of the things that they said and the things that we would have said if we were just thinking a little bit more quickly on our feet. And then we nurse the hurt. And all of a sudden we're more wounded then than when we first started out. And all of a sudden we get our camps together and we've got all the people who are on our side and all the people who are not on our side because they've been doing the same thing in their camp. And then all of a sudden you've got this big storm that's displaying to the world that the gospel has absolutely no impact on our relationships with one another. But if instead you went to that person face to face and said, you've grieved me, here's how, here's why, in the vast majority of cases, the thing would simply be reconciled. It would end. And if that doesn't work, then Paul says, bring somebody else in. This is what he's talking about in 1 Corinthians 6. Instead of getting an unbelieving judge to settle the dispute between you, why not get someone in the church who's wise, who's patient, who's a good listener, who can come and listen to both sides of the story, hear the case, and with the wisdom of Christ, issue a path forward that's going to provide healing towards the relationship and not further rupture. There are people in this church, in the fellowship of this church, maybe people in your small group, who have an incredible gift. They're good listeners, they're wise, and they could sit there and listen to the grievance between the two of you and offer a path forward. And then if that doesn't take care of it, which in almost every case I've ever seen, those two things would take care of it, then you would do 1 Corinthians chapter 5.